by the clock tower. Hey, night listener. Tonight we enter the shadows. Rain slicks the cobblestones like the city's trying to wash itself clean, but the stains are too deep. Neon signs blink through the mist, lighting puddles in shades of regret. A bottle rolls into the gutter. Somewhere, a siren howls like a confession with no words. You light a cigarette you don't remember taking from your coat. And wait, because this is how it always begins, with silence that feels rehearsed. A shadow waits under the city's old clock tower, dead, face up, eyes open like they expected something else to happen. No purse, no phone, but no sign of struggle either. She's too clean, too staged. You kneel beside the body, your boots kissing the damp stone. Her skin's pale, but not from the rain. Her lips are parted slightly, as if the last thing she meant to say got caught behind her teeth. There's a small card in her coat pocket, water-warped but legible. One word, clocked. You turn it over. Your name is written on the back. Not a nickname, not detective. Your full name, as if she knew who'd find her. A smear of red along her left wrist draws your eye, not blood. Lipstick, in a line, a trail, not away from the body, toward it, like someone marked her before she fell, or after she was posed. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The officer behind you shifts, looks clean. He mutters, mugging. Maybe. You nod, but your eyes catch something they missed. A glint between two stones, half buried, a cufflink, gold, engraved with a scale like a judge's emblem. You pocket it before anyone sees. Everyone lies, especially the ones who get there first. A voice behind you, low and slow. You ever seen her before? You don't flinch. You lie. No, but you have. You remember her laugh from somewhere that wasn't work, something private, something you buried deep enough to forget until now. You rise, adjust your coat. Rain taps your shoulders like someone reminding you this won't go away. The clock chimes once. It's 3:01 a.m., and the only thing louder than that sound is the silence inside you, waiting to be named. Now, lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark, the note you were never meant to read. You wait until the precinct's quiet before you unfold the note again. You told the others it was just a blank card, ruined by rain, nothing to process. But alone, under your desk lamp, the water stains curl like fingerprints. The ink bleeds into shapes, then letters, then meaning. It's a message, not typed, not printed, written in a tight, slanted script. She clocked it all, didn't she? Thought she was smarter? Thought she could outrun what you buried? You read it again and again. The last line changes. You didn't imagine it. The words rearranged while you blinked. Now it reads, you still have time to make this right. You crumple it, but it uncrumples itself in your hand, stiffens back into form. It was never just paper. It was a warning. You knew, but pretended you didn't. A knock on the glass. Detective Maris. He doesn't come in, just gives you that look. The kind that says he knows something's wrong but hasn't decided if it's your wrong yet. You nod him off. You need time. You dig deeper into the victim's file. No name yet. No ID, but the dress, the cut, the fabric, it wasn't hers. You're sure of it. It was yours. Or rather, it belonged to someone in your case history. You open old files, cross-check victim photos from years ago. You find it. Same dress, different woman, 2007, case closed, suicide. But the photos, they're off now. The body's face blurred. burned at the edges, like the negatives were overexposed on purpose. Someone tampered with the records, maybe not recently, maybe back when the case was still fresh, when you still cared about justice more than outcomes. You stare at the victim's face again. She doesn't look scared. She looks deliberate, like she showed up knowing she wouldn't leave. You pull out your old recorder. It powers on without prompting. The last file saved confession, clock tower. You didn't record that. You press play. Silence. Then breathing. Not yours. Then her voice, faint, calm. This isn't about what you solved. It's about what you didn't report. Click, dead air. You rewind it. Try again. Same result. You erase the file, or try to, but it restores itself with a new label. Listen harder. The lights flicker. Your reflection in the darkened window doesn't blink when you do. Everyone lies, especially the ones who think they've already solved the case. The glove that didn't fit her. You return to the evidence room, alone, too late for anyone to question you, too early for guilt to fully wake up. The body's clothing is bagged and tagged, labeled with sterile codes meant to keep the living at a distance. You unzip the main bag. Inside, the dress still damp at the hem and her gloves, except there's only one. Left hand, faux leather, scuffed at the fingertips. You examine it more closely. It's too large for her, too stiff. The stitching is masculine, police issue, with faded letters inside the wrist. Property of CPD, D1789, your division. You check the system. D1789 was reported missing 8 months ago. You log the number manually. No trace, no record of recovery, no chain of custody. Just gone. Until now. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You think back, 8 months ago, what were you working the Harlan case? You solved it, open and shut. But you remember something now. Something you've buried with the rest of the inconsistencies. A footprint outside the window that didn't match the victim's shoe size. A smear of red on the stair rail that wasn't blood but lipstick. You didn't follow up on it. The department needed a win. And now, the glove is back, still damp with the same smear of color you saw that night. Not blood, not paint, lipstick. The same shade the new victim wore. You press your thumb into the dried patch. A faint, greasy residue comes off. You turn it over and spot something even stranger. A tiny pinhole near the wrist seam. Surgical. You peel the glove back gently. Inside the lining, something clicks. A micro cassette. You haven't used one of these in years. But you keep an old player in your desk buried under coffee-stained reports and unopened subpoenas. You insert the tape, press play, static, then a voice, not hers, yours. If anyone finds this, I didn't mean for it to go that far. She knew. I didn't think she did, but she knew. This isn't about guilt. It's about preservation. You pause it. Your hand is trembling. You don't remember recording that, but it's your voice from your office, saying words you thought you'd never speak. You rewind. Play it again. A new voice overlays yours now. Her. You took the case. Warren. But you didn't take the weight. A knock sounds on the door to the evidence room. 3 sharp raps. You freeze. No one should know you're here. You pocket the glove, close the bag, kill the lights, and wait. Footsteps echo past the door, then fade. You exhale. Too soon. The glove in your pocket twitches, as if it remembered being worn. Everyone lies, especially the ones who think the evidence isn't watching back. The photograph that shouldn't exist. You unlock your desk drawer, with a key you haven't used in years. Not because you forgot it, because you hoped whatever was in there had already forgotten you. Inside old files, pension paperwork, a faded Polaroid envelope. You don't remember saving that, but your name is written on the front. You open it. There are 6 photos inside. 5 of them are from your academy days, laughing on the rooftop with Maries, half drunk and pretending to be heroes. But the 6th, it stops your heart. It's the victim, standing beside you, arm looped through yours, both of you smiling, like lovers or co-conspirators. But here's the twist. The timestamp in the corner, April 17th, 2023. 3 days after her death. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You searched the background of the photo, the wall behind you plastered with old flyers, an address half visible, Ashford and Leighton. It's a street corner. You know it. Abandoned lot. Used to be a cafe. You remember, because that's where you broke your first case, and because that's where you buried something. Not a person. A truth. You rush out. Night folds around you like a coat worn inside out. At Ashford and Leggington, the street lamp flickers, the lot's fenced. But you climb it like instinct. Same cracked tiles, same burnt wood frame. But now, there's something new. A tarp, fresh, weighed down with cinder blocks. You pull it aside. Nothing. Just earth. Then your foot hits metal. You dig, barehanded. A tin box emerges, unlocked. Inside, a pair of earrings, a cigarette lighter engraved with the word Whitaker, a photo negative of the same image in the Polaroid, and beneath that another photo, this time of her, alone, hands bound, eyes wide, not dead, terrified. This isn't evidence. It's a threat, a reminder that someone documented what you did or what you failed to stop. You drop the box. It clangs against something buried deeper, a second container, sealed in plastic. You yank it free. It's your old recorder, still running, but not with batteries, plugged into something beneath the soil, a cable feeding downward into the dirt, recording from below. You pull. It doesn't budge, like it's tethered to the lie itself. You stop and notice something scratched into the inside of the tin lid. This is the photo you buried, the one where you saw her last, the one where you didn't help. The lights on the street blink out, every one of them, and the city goes quiet. You're not alone. You never were. Everyone lies, especially the ones who smile in photographs dated after their alibis. You're not the only one investigating. The lights don't come back on. You stand in the silence of the abandoned lot, clutching the box like it might turn into a weapon if you needed to. Across the street, a figure watches from under the brim of an umbrella that never seems to move. Even though the wind's begun to hiss again, you pretend you don't see them. You walk back to your car like nothing's wrong. But the feeling in your chest, that's not rainwater, it's a wire tightening. When you reach the precinct, your desk isn't as you left it. Your recorder is missing. So is the evidence bag with the glove. And someone's taken the victim's photo file out of the drawer, replaced it with a case you haven't opened in over a decade. The Harper strangulation. Closed. Sealed. No loose ends. You solved it. Except that now the file contains something new. A copy of the glove photo. A note. Start over. And a small black flash drive. Unlabeled. You plug it into your laptop. And a single file loads. Video. Low res. Time-stamped yesterday. It shows the back alley behind your precinct. A dark car pulls in. You get out. Except it's not your current car. It's the car you sold 2 years ago. And the person isn't exactly you. He's older, thinner, Slower, but the walk is yours. The posture is yours. He opens the trunk, pulls out a box, the same box you just dug up tonight. Except this version, he burns it in a rusted drum, like it never existed. The tape ends with the sound of two knocks on glass, and suddenly you remember earlier tonight. Earlier, the knock on the evidence room door. Was it you? You knew, but pretended you didn't. Back at your desk, your phone vibrates once. No caller ID, just a message. Nice try. Don't check the mirror. Check the tape. You turn to the window, but stop yourself. Instead, you grab the tape you thought was erased, the one labeled Confession, Clock Tower. You press play. Static. Then her voice again, but not the same message. This one ends differently. They'll think you solved it. But solving it isn't what matters anymore. What matters is who stays quiet. A new voice follows hers. Male. Almost your own. Distorted by just enough reverb to feel like memory. You didn't bury the body, Warren. You buried the reason. You slammed the recorder down. The message restarts. Automatically. Now the timestamp reads tomorrow. The door creaks open. Detective Maris leans in. You okay? You nod. But your fingers are still on the play button, and you feel like the video didn't catch a man who looks like you. It caught you. Everyone lies, especially the ones who think they're the only ones watching the evidence burn. The witness who forgot too much. You don't trust coincidence, so when a witness calls in the same night with new information, you know it's not by chance, it's choreography. An old man waits in interview room C. Rain still clings to his overcoat. His hands tremble not from nerves, but memory. The kind that takes its time showing up. His name is Reuben Lang. Claims he saw a woman by the clock tower around 3 a.m. Same night your victim was found. Marie sits in, scribbling notes while pretending not to watch you. You ask Reuben what he saw. He frowns, then smiles, confused. I saw her. She was waiting, real still, like she already knew what was coming. You lean forward. Did you see anyone else? No, he says. Just her. And the rain. You press. Ask again. Use the voice that makes people unfold. He adds one thing. She had gloves on both hands. You freeze. Are you sure? He nods. Black ones. One of them had a tear at the seam. Left side. The one you found only had one glove. No tear, no match. You exchange a glance with Marais. He looks just as surprised. But Reuben keeps talking. She looked like she wanted to leave, but her feet were stuck, like the place wouldn't let her go. You ask for a description. He hesitates. She had your eyes. You stop. I didn't mean nothing by it. He mumbles. Just looked familiar, like someone I used to know. You check the file. Reuben Lang was a custodian at the 3rd Street courthouse, the same courthouse where you gave testimony in the Harper strangulation. You check the old security log. Reuben wasn't just there. He was called as a character witness. You pull the transcript. It's blank, every line redacted. All that remains is one phrase. Witness deemed unreliable. Statement omitted by request of dated. Warren, you don't remember making that request, but the file says you did. You glance at Reuben again. He's smiling now. Wide, crooked. You remember me now, don't you? You nod slowly. Because the truth is, you do. You just didn't want to. And when you finally ask him why he came forward after all these years, he shrugs. She asked me to. Who? His smile sharpens. The girl, the one in the photo. You never showed him the photo. You never even mentioned it. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the ones who forget too precisely. The victim's voice on your recorder. You replay the tape again and again. The voice on it doesn't get clearer, it gets closer, like it's learning you, like it's responding to you with every press of the rewind button. You're back at your desk now, lights off, blinds drawn, the precinct, a quiet ruin of fluorescent ghosts and old coffee. The recorder clicks, but you never press play. Her voice starts on its own. You think this ends when the case closes. But justice doesn't use clocks, it uses memory. The hairs on your arms rise. You rewind it. Different line this time. You left something behind. It followed me instead. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You open the evidence folder again, but now it contains something new. A photograph. It wasn't there an hour ago. It's of your office, taken from outside the window, through the blinds. You're in the picture, back turned, holding the recorder, the timestamp, tomorrow, 2 to 14 a.m. The image is too crisp to be a coincidence. It's surveillance. But by whom? Your fingers start to shake. You flip the photo over. There's a single phrase scribbled in pen. Play it backwards. You rewind the tape to the beginning, then slowly turn the wheel in reverse. The voice warps, then stabilizes, and what sounded like static becomes her humming. A lullaby, not one you recognize, until suddenly you do. It's the same tune your mother used to hum when you were small, when the house got quiet, when she didn't want you to ask what she was cleaning out of the basement. The recorder hisses, then whispers. You buried it deeper than the evidence. You buried it where you hide your name. You drop the tape. It keeps playing. Now, it's a second voice, yours, backwards, whispering one line on a loop. It was never solved, just silenced. You pull the drawer open. Inside is your badge, but something's wrong. The number is scratched out, replaced with letters burned into the leather. E.L. 16. You check your badge log. No mention of those initials. No officer with those digits. But your gut remembers something from the Harper strangulation. Victim's name Eliza Lane. Time of death 5:16 m. But the detail that never sat right, the blood spatter was dry. The body cold. She died long before that timestamp. You think back to the case. You testified. You filed the report. But nowhere does it say who found the body, because no one did. You just knew where it was. A creak outside your office breaks the thought. You open the door. The hallway is empty, except for one thing. A box, same as before. Inside it, your old notebook and one Polaroid. Eliza Lane, wearing the same dress as your current victim, same smile, same lipstick. Only now, she's holding up a sign. Try again. Detective, everyone lies, especially the ones who file the final report. The alibi that requires you to lie. You always believed that an alibi is a form of protection, a story that wraps around the truth like gauze, thin enough to breathe through, thick enough to muffle screams. And tonight, you need one, because the timeline doesn't add up anymore. Not for them, not for you. You're back at your apartment, curtains drawn, shower running, even though you're not in it, just noise to hide the sound of your own unraveling. You scribble notes on the back of a takeaway menu, dates, times, locations. But every version of the story you try to tell ends in contradiction. You were alone. You write, but the coffee shop receipt says otherwise. You were off duty. You write, but your duty log re-entered last night shows you responding to a call you never got. You were at home, but the GPS in your car synced via cloud places you 2 blocks from the clock tower at 3:02 a.m., right as it chimed. You stare at the one lie that could fix it all. Detective Maurice called me out on a welfare check. You haven't told him yet, haven't asked him to play along, but the file's already been altered to support it. A falsified dispatch call, now neatly tucked into the system, time-stamped, voiced, logged by someone using your credential. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The question isn't how did this get planted? It's how did it get planted before you realized you needed it? A knock on your door. Soft, measured, not police, not neighbor. You open it just enough to see a file folder on the welcome mat. No person in sight. You grab it. Inside, a printout of your falsified alibi. A photograph of Maris, standing by the clock tower, 3:04 a.m. A typed note. He lied for you once. Will he do it again? You sit back. You remember. Years ago, your first year as a detective, you screwed up, missed a crucial piece of evidence in a domestic abuse case. Maris found it, buried it, said, no one needs to know. Just get better. You never asked why he covered for you. Maybe now you're seeing the price. You call him. No answer. You text, we need to talk. 3 dots. Then nothing. You grab the folder, march out into the hall, but the elevator's already moving. Someone left you this for a reason. To guide, to corner, to remind. You ride down, cross the street to the diner, order coffee, open your laptop. Someone's remote logged into your case files, IP address internal, from the precinct. They're editing the victim's record, removing her name, replacing it with Jane Doe. Status pending, except you never entered her name in the first place. You glance at the coffee. There's lipstick on the rim, red, the same shade as before. But you haven't taken a sip, and you're drinking alone. Everyone lies, especially when the only alibi left is the one someone else wrote for you. Her bracelet was buried. 2. You don't want to go back to the crime scene. Not tonight. But the weight of what you've uncovered drags you there. You drive through rain-washed streets, past neon signs flickering like broken promises. The alley behind the clock tower is quieter than the last time you saw it, closer to a graveyard than a city street. You kneel by the spot where the victim was found. The earth is soft, too soft. Someone's been here. You scrape at the soil with your gloved fingers. Not much comes free, just dirt and bits of broken glass. Then, under the mud, you feel something. Cool, metallic. You pull. A delicate chain, a bracelet. You lift it. Silver, tarnished, engraved with your initials. You know it immediately. The one you gave to her at your first Christmas together. You never thought she wore it. You thought she threw it away when things went bad. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You turned the bracelet over. Underneath the clasp is a small engraving. Till truth untangles us, a phrase you whispered once. Long ago, you hold it tight. The rain falls harder. A shadow passes over you. You look up. No one there. But the footsteps return. Not yours. Slow, deliberate. You rise. Turn. Only the cold air greets you. You step back to the alley and find the victim's purse. Open, empty, except for a crumpled note. In her handwriting, he solved it, but he hid the rest. You want to scream, but you don't, because you're the detective, and detectives don't get to scream. They get to bury things, like evidence, like regrets, like the truth. Everyone lies, especially the ones who bury the past with the person who never got justice. The missing report. You filed yourself back at the precinct. The hum of computers and distant voices feels like a faded dream. You slide into your chair and pull up the case files on your terminal. Every detail is there, every interview logged, except one. The official incident report is missing. You search the archives. No trace, no backup, just a blank space where your signature should be. The report you filed. You remember drafting it. You remember pressing submit, but it's gone, erased. You pull your USB backup. No luck. It's corrupt. You know better than anyone that deletion isn't just a command, it's a choice. Someone chose to remove it. And judging by the file metadata that someone was you, you didn't recall doing it. You didn't want to. But the logs don't lie. You drill down. Last modified date, April 18, 2:17 a.m. Just hours after the victim was found. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You open the next file. It's the case notes you never shared, handwritten, with pages torn and hastily taped back. You skim the last entry. It reads, evidence shows more than one hand at work, but the report hides it. I did. Your breath catches. You didn't write that. Or did you? You glance at the framed badge on the wall, the one you polished every morning, the one you wore during every interview. It feels heavier now, like it's holding a secret. Your phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. Truth isn't in reports. It's in what we choose to bury. You look up. Maurice is standing in the doorway, not his usual jovial self, his eyes cold, knowing. You're hiding something, he says. You nod, because you are, and you've been hiding it longer than you thought. Everyone lies, especially the ones who delete their own confessions. A colleague with too many questions. The precinct feels smaller. The walls seem to lean in. Your partner, Maris, hasn't spoken much since the last confrontation. But now, he slides a photo across your desk. The one you thought you'd buried, the photograph of you and the victim. Dated after her death. His eyes narrow. This wasn't in the file you gave me. You swallow. Neither was a lot of things. He leans back. People are asking questions about your timeline, about that night. You don't trust the smile that curls on his lips because you're not sure if it's suspicion or pity. You think back to the last time you trusted someone with the truth, how it burned you. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Maurice taps the photo. I'm not asking. I'm telling. The clock ticks. Every second louder than the last. Everyone lies, especially the ones who think partners aren't the ones who uncover your buried truths. The locked drawer you forgot, you owned. You're alone at the precinct late into the night. The hum of computers and distant voices are swallowed by shadows. Your eyes land on the old metal desk drawer, the one you thought was jammed. You slide it open. Inside, several sealed evidence bags, not logged, not catalogued. Your handwriting on every label. Inside each bag, the victim's jewelry, fabric swatches matching the dress in the photo. A small, bloodied knife you never turned in. You kneel, hands shaking. How did you forget this? You knew, but pretended you didn't. A folded note lies atop the bags. Proof doesn't matter if it stays hidden. You pocket the note. The overhead lights flicker. The door creaks. You're not alone. Everyone lies, especially the ones who hide their own evidence in the dark. You receive a letter in her handwriting. The mail sits untouched on your kitchen table. Bills, flyers, one envelope, no return address. Your name in elegant cursive. Your breath catches. You recognize the handwriting. It's hers. You open it slowly. Inside, a letter dated the day before the murder. Words that cut sharper than any knife. Detective, you solved the case, but you didn't find me. I'm not done telling my story. Neither are you. A folded photograph slips out. You don't recognize the setting. A cabin in the woods. In the foreground, a pair of gloves, your gloves. Red thread sewn through the seams. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The letter ends with an address. No city, no state. Just come alone. Midnight. Your phone buzzes. No message. No caller ID. Just the sound of someone breathing slow, deliberate. You don't answer, but you feel the weight of the letter settle in your chest. Everyone lies, especially the ones who get letters from ghosts they thought were dead. The interrogation. You can't escape. You sit under the harsh glare of a single overhead bulb, not as the interrogator, but as the accused. Maris's voice echoes from somewhere behind the glass. Questions that sting more because they're a half-true. Where were you the night she died? You answer. Truth, half-truth, silence. The room feels smaller. Walls closing. Clock ticking loud enough to drown out your thoughts. You see her face in every reflection. In the glass, in the steel table, in your shaking hands. You hid evidence, Maris says softly. Why you want to say it was to protect the truth, but that's a lie. You wanted to protect yourself. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The door opens. You're alone again, except the chair's still spinning, and on it a single glove, red thread, waiting. Everyone lies, especially the ones who end up as suspects in their own stories. Your badge is found at the crime scene. They call you out at dawn. The alley behind the clock tower is roped off again. A group of officers gather around a new piece of evidence. Your badge, blood-stained, laid on the ground like a confession. You kneel. Your heart is pounding. You don't remember dropping it, or why it was there. The evidence tags say, found at 5:04 a.m., just after the estimated time of death. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You stare at the badge number, your number, but the blood doesn't match. Someone else's DNA. You feel eyes on you. The press is already circling. The story's shifting. You wonder how many lies it takes before the truth becomes invisible. Everyone lies, especially the ones whose innocence is measured in inches of blood. The evidence box you burned returns. You thought the fire had taken everything. The night you destroyed the box in the warehouse blaze, you believed the past would stay buried. But here it is, on your precinct desk, sealed, labeled with your handwriting. Inside, the victim's bloodied scarf, the torn glove, a matchbook from room 209. You try to call Maris, no answer. You try to open the box, it's locked, with a key you don't have. You check the note attached, written in the victim's handwriting. You can run, detective, but the truth doesn't burn. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You hear footsteps behind you, slow, methodical. You turn, empty hallway, but the box vibrates, like it's breathing. Everyone lies, especially the ones who think ashes can cover what never burned. The confession you never made, typed and signed. A printout appears on your office printer. You don't remember sending anything. You pick it up. It's a confession, detailed, precise, signed by you. But the signature doesn't match your usual scrawl. It's deliberate, clean, final. The confession outlines every detail of the murder. The who, the why, the when, except one thing. The motive doesn't fit. It's not revenge. It's control. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You search your computer. No files, no drafts, no emails. You call Maris. No answer. Your phone rings. Caller ID unknown. You answer. A voice, calm. We solved it for you. Now Finish what you started. You hang up. The confession burns in your hands, not with fire, but with the weight of truth you refuse to claim. Everyone lies, especially the ones who sign their guilt with someone else's pen. A crime scene recreated in your home. You arrive home late, the doors ajar. Your heart hammers. Inside, everything's different. The living room has been rearranged, exactly like the crime scene. The couch positioned like the alley's curb. A bloodied scarf draped over the armrest. A cracked photo frame on the coffee table. You pick it up. Inside the victim's face, but her eyes are scratched out. The room smells like old smoke and fresh fear. You walk to the kitchen. A red thread tied to the faucet. You pull. It leads to the bedroom, where the bed is made, with a pair of gloves, waiting. You sit. The phone rings. You don't answer, but the voice speaks anyway. You thought you solved it, but the real case begins when you come home. You look at your reflection in the window. It's not alone. Everyone lies, especially the ones whose houses are crime scenes. The victim's fingerprint on your watch. Forensics calls. Your watch, recovered from your desk drawer, carries an unexpected guest. A fingerprint, not yours. The victim's, you knew, but pretended you didn't. The watch was missing the night she died. You've been wearing a replacement ever since. You stare at the print, wondering if it's a sign, a message, or a warning. You take off the watch, place it on the evidence table. The lights flicker, the room chills, and you realize you weren't just the detective. You were the evidence. Everyone lies, especially the ones whose secrets stick to their skin. You know who did it and why you helped the pieces fit. Not neatly, not cleanly, but enough. You solved the case weeks ago, buried the evidence deeper than any grave. It wasn't about justice. It was about protection. A promise made, a debt owed. You covered for a truth that couldn't survive the light. You look at the badge on your desk, not a symbol of honor, but a shackle, a reminder. You breathe in, the past breathes out. You're not the hero, not the villain, just the keeper of a secret that's still alive, waiting for someone else to find. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the ones who hide the truth beneath their own feet. The rain has slowed to a whisper. Streetlights blur in the mist, their halos smudged like memories fading in the dark. You walk alone, hands in pockets, the weight of truth pressing down like wet concrete. The city doesn't care, neither does the night. You're left with questions that don't have answers, truths wrapped in shadows. You glance back. No one follows, or maybe they always have. The badge in your pocket feels heavier, not because of guilt, but because some secrets are too big for one person to carry. You breathe in the cold air, let it fill the spaces where lies once lived, and somewhere, beneath the pavement, evidence waits, not to be found, but to be remembered, because solving the case isn't the end. It's just the beginning. End of script. Sleep well and watch your back.